In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace the rear brakes on this BMW 550i. These are going to be located behind the rear wheels. Let's get into it. I'm going to remove the wheel, use a 17mm socket, take the lug bolts out. Before I take the last one out, I'm just going to hold the wheel on so it doesn't fall. Take that out, grab the wheel, and slide it off. I'm going to use some needle nose pliers. I'll just grab the brake pad wear sensor, rock it out, take that out. There's a cap over the bleeder screw. Pop the cap up. Then you can take the sensor out from there. We're going to remove this anti-rattle clip. I'm going to use some pliers and just a trim tool. You could use a straight blade screwdriver if you want. Just going to pry this up a little, pull it out with the pliers. There it is. We'll take these caps off. I'm just going to use a pick. Pop these off. Before I take the bolts out for the caliper, we're just going to crack the bleeder screw free. Just use a 9mm wrench. Just make sure it loosens up. That's good. Now we just snug it up so that it's not leaking. Using a 7mm hex socket, we're going to take these two caliper slide pins out. I grab the caliper, you can wiggle it back and forth a little, slide it off. We're going to take the brake pads out. This one's sticking a little bit. I'm just going to use a hammer. Just tap that off. Pull this one off. It's got a clip that goes into the piston. I'm just going to hang this from the coil spring out of the way. I'll take these two bolts out, use an 18mm socket. Pull the bolts out and grab the bracket, slide it off the rotor. Now we're going to use a 6mm hex socket, take this screw out. Just grab the rotor, slide it off. If it's stuck on there, you just take a hammer and just give it a tap right in those locations. We're going to clean up the rotor, just take some brake parts cleaner. A rag, wipe the back side. Flip it around. Do the same on this side. And just wipe it down. Now we'll install it on the vehicle. And take the rotor, slide it on. You want to make sure the parking brakes are adjusted properly. You can use a straight blade screwdriver, adjust the adjuster. Just make sure they're not too tight. It's almost easier to just make them too tight and then back them off. It's a little too tight. I'll just back them off. 2 turns, should be good. Take the screw for the rotor, get that started. And just snug that down. We're going to clean up the caliper bracket. Just take a wire brush, just get some of the corrosion off. That's good. I'll clean up the caliper pins. I'm just going to use some brake parts cleaner and a rag. Just wipe them down. That's good. And take some brake caliper lubricant or some silicone lubricant and just lubricate the pins. Just a thin coat. That's good. Take the caliper bracket, slide that on, take the bolts, get those started. Now we're going to torque these bolts to 49 foot-pounds. Good. Now we're going to compress the caliper, take the hanger off. On the bleeder screw, I'm just going to put the 9mm wrench and then a hose. We're going to open that bleeder screw. And take your caliper compressing tool. As we compress the caliper, you're going to see brake fluid going through the hose. There we go. So it's not pushing the dirty brake fluid back into the system. Just go nice and slow. That's all the way down. Before we take the tool off, just gonna close the bleeder screw. That's good. And take the hose off. Might leak a little fluid. Make sure you have a drain bucket underneath or a rag. And just snug that bleeder up the best you can. And you can take your compressing tool off. Now before we put the brake pads in, I'm just going to clean up just this edge right here where the brake pads are going to sit, just with a wire brush. That's good. Just do that on both sides. Good. Take the brake pads. The one with the clip on it is going to go into the piston. Just like that. The other brake pad, I'm just going to slide that into the bracket and put the caliper over the brake pads. Make sure that lines up. That's good. Take the caliper pins, get those started. Now we'll tighten these down. Torque these to 22 foot-pounds. Put the caps on. And we'll just snug down the bleeder screw. That's good. Take some brake parts cleaner. Just wash it down. Wipe it with a rag. Take the brake pad wear sensor. Line that up into the brake pad. Push that on. It slides in place there. Take the wire. We're going to go around the bleeder cap, and lock that down. Then we're going to put this clip on. Just get this lined up. Push that in. And push it in place. If you need to, you can use some pliers or a straight blade screwdriver. Now you want to pump the brake pedal multiple times. There's going to be an air gap between the brake pads and the caliper piston. Now we're going to check the brake fluid level on this vehicle. There's a couple of covers over, so we've got to take those off. Right here, we're going to use a 13mm socket. There's just a wing nut here. You just twist to the left, and then over here, we've got a little bar. Just going to pop that bar off. This slides right out. You can see over here a couple more wing nuts. Right there. You just turn them about 90 degrees. And there's one more back here. Right here, there's a screw. Just use a T20 socket. Take that screw out. This cover right here, that comes right off. The weather stripping, just pull that up. There's a lock mechanism right here. You just need to lift up this tab and slide that towards the driver's side. So one more wing nut right there. Just take the 13mm socket, twist that, and this cover will come up. Just pull that up. And here we can see the brake fluid reservoir. Check the level and adjust accordingly. Now take the cover, just slide that in position. And just twist that wing nut. Take the lock mechanism, lock that in place. Take the weather strip, just put that back in position. And take this cover, that back in position. And these 3 wing nuts, tighten those back down. And take this screw, get that started. And we'll tighten that down. Snug that down. Take the cover, line that up. I'm going to push the tabs in the back and this bar. And just twist this wing nut. Now put the wheel on. Get the hole lined up. Take the lug bolt, get that started. Snug that down. Take the other lug bolts. Get those started. Snug those down. Now we're going to torque the lug bolts to 98 foot-pounds in a cross pattern to tighten the wheel down evenly. And just go around again, double check.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.